It's Frontier Opening Bell on a holiday. I'm Temple Ashaju. Thank you for joining us on the show this morning. And we've got Eric Mokaya, the Chief Executive Officer of Mango Capital in Nairobi, Kenya, joining us this morning. Eric, thank you for coming through. Good morning. And of course, Bosin Amofaye, editor here at Frontier Africa Reports. Gentlemen, thank you for coming through this holiday. Now let's look at the markets from the status at which they closed yesterday. They have the Nigerian exchange was marginally up 0.01%. BRVM exchange at 165.14 positive. That was actually a serious jump by 2.24%. The Egyptian exchange was also positive 0.81%. You have the Nairobi Securities Exchange closing marginally downwards by 0.02%. And in Johannesburg, the exchange there closed southward by 2.59%. That was a serious depreciation. Now let's look at the headlines before us. In the eastern part of Africa, Kenya, Rwanda bourse closed today. Tanzania tomorrow, the 21st of July. Kenya remittances climbed $1.75 billion in the first half of 2021. Kenya's public debt at 7.7 trillion Kenyan shillings. That's in June 2021, the month before. And then you have Rwanda approving KCB plans to buy the bank from Atlas Mara. In Uganda, the pension fund next 146 billion Ugandan shillings, and in terms of investment income. Eric, you are the man in the eastern part of Africa. Give us your understandings of these headlines and how they will be traded when you return from the holiday.
Oh yeah, Kenya is on holiday. I think this week. I think Watson was saying Nigeria is taking 2 days off. So it's very much a quiet week in the market. So I would say the remittances is really good that they are up at 1.75 in half one. So I think usually last year should have been around $3 billion. So the expectation is for that to keep increasing this year. Maybe as more people abroad send money home to support loved ones, especially during these tough kind of COVID times. So that's pretty nice to see it climbing. Public debt being at 7.7 trillion. That was a bit of a shock because that means in the last 1 year they've added around $1 trillion Kenya shillings on the debt. So that's a staggering amount in 1 year. I was actually checking and I realized up to 2005 or I can't remember, between 2005 and 10, that's the first time Kenya hit 1 trillion Kenya shillings in debt, in total debt. So like since then, which is like 14, 15 years, so we had like 6 trillion in debt. And most of that, actually, I think 5 trillion of that has come in the last 8 years of the current regime. So pretty interesting to see how that goes. And of course, like given the circumstances, I think they'll keep borrowing, kind of borrowing from Peter to pay Paul. So more issuances of Euro bonds, you'll expect that in the coming year. You'd expect them to tap into the markets. The markets are pretty liquid also. So I think that would also influence foreign exchange reserves. So something that is also on top of business news, which is not in the headline, is something about Nation Media Group in East Africa. They have been doing the first buyback in Kenya. So I think as of 13th last week, which is 7 days ago, they had an uptake of around 73% of the buyback. So they've managed to buy back of the targeted 20 million shares. They've bought back 70%. So I would expect that they have hit the target by now. And then they'll close that. So that kind of boosted the share price a little bit to 25 Kenya shillings around there. So that's pretty interesting to see how that's, and you'd expect more companies to follow the lead of Nation Media. So I think that's kind of about it from East Africa. It's a quiet week, to be honest. So not a lot of companies are reporting earnings this month. Pretty quiet. The only one that we expect to shake up things up is Centum. So that should be reporting maybe this week or next week. And then maybe the end of next week, we have Safaricom's AGM. So that's where the big guns will be coming out. So that's kind of all from East Africa.
All right, then. Let me take you back a little bit to one or two of the headlines, Eric, and that is on the remittances, the diaspora remittances. We understand that 58.8% of the remittances did come from the United States. Is there any particular reason why that is the case? Because from time to time, the US has always remained atop of UK and a couple of other countries. And then the second question will be that what your thoughts are exactly in the purchase or acquisition of Banque Populaire du Rwanda, that's BPR, which of course KCB is planning to buy in Rwanda.
I think for the remittances, I don't think there's any particular reason, but I think the US has always been like the top place. The US, UK, and Saudi Arabia have been some of the top places where remittances come from. So, I mean, and you know, like the US is doing a lot of quantitative easing and also doing a lot of dishing out money to people during the, giving them money. I think I've seen friends get like $1,200 per week as unemployment insurance. So I think that's flowing to people's pockets. And some statistics I've seen in the US is that most of the money that is coming in, 60 or 70% of it is being saved. And maybe some of them are actually taking a little bit of that money and sending back home to Kenya. So I think that could be why we are benefiting from that. On the other issue that you asked about KCB, I think KCB in East Africa are in a race to $1 trillion Kenya shillings in terms of asset base with Equity Bank. They've been in that for a while, and that has happened a lot, mostly due to acquisitions. So in the past year, Equity hit the trillion Kenya shilling mark in terms of assets base, mostly by acquiring some companies in a bank in DRC. So I think KCB is trying to also follow in the footsteps, trying to hit the trillion. They're not that far off. So I think they just want to get a foothold across East Africa. So I think both of those banks want to tap into the cross-border trade, the remittances flow across the region. They want to make sure that when you're a business and you want to set up in DRC and you have another branch in Kenya, you think about KCB or Equity Bank for that matter. So I think this is a good move. I think they ratify this in their AGM, the move to acquire. So it's very interesting to see how that plays out going forward. But Equity Bank and KCB are the kind of the big boys to watch in Kenya.
And perhaps they're racing after the status of Standard Bank in Africa. But thank you very much, Eric, for providing that depth into all of those headlines. Bosin, one or two things to say about this East African headlines before we move to West Africa?
Well, I think Eric pretty covered it extensively. Especially, I wanted to comment on the Rwandas and Atlas Mara. I think these are the last few units that Atlas Mara will be taking off Atlas Mara's book, as Atlas Bob Diamond looks to get out of banking business in Africa. Still have a bit of a chunk of shares in Union Bank of Nigeria PLC, which is still yet being under consideration. Thank you.
Many thanks, Bosin. Now let's move on to the West African and Nigerian markets. Nigeria's markets on Muslim holiday today, July the 20th to tomorrow, July the 21st. Seplat's Westport OIl raises $50 million offtake facility. FMDQ lists North-South Power 50 billion naira green bond. MFS Africa, AfriMoney floats mobile money services in Sierra Leone. Vista Bank closes deal to buy BNP Paribas Guinea. Moov Africa, Gabon is to invest some 10 billion CFA francs for 3G and 4G. Bosin, this is coming at a time when countries, advanced markets, and some frontier markets are talking about 5G specifically. What are your thoughts on these and other headlines?
Well, if you have 3G or 4G in a place like Gabon, well, you're in good business. This is an oil-producing country, by the way. Go all the way eastern part of, after Cameroon and all that, very small country, but very rich in oil, hydrocarbon business. So 3G, 4G would be a game changer there, at least in the interim. One big news we don't have on the calendar because it's all choked up has to do with Oando and Nigeria's Securities and Exchange Commission. Temple, you followed this very messy story for a number of years. At least for the last 5, 6, 7 years, it has led to the exit of at least about 2 director generals of the Securities and Exchange Commission. It was part of what led to the, about 3 to be more. Thank you very much. A finance minister was also caught up in the mess that Oando was. So there have been so many casualties in this very messy face-off between Oando Nigeria PLC and the SEC. Now it looks like we have the final lap of it now. There's a settlement which you said is being reached, in which the Oando will take out all the legal cases against the SEC. Then the SEC will also withdraw all the issues against Oando and ask the Oando, the energy company, to go and sin no more and entrench corporate governance. How this will pace out moving forward is anyone's guess. Good news for investors, but again, how did we allow this issue to get so messy in Nigeria that about 3 director generals of the Securities and Exchange Commission lost their jobs, whatever. Then the finance minister was also caught up in it. Quite a very huge, widely politicized issue. Was supposed to be a simple market discipline by the regulator to a listed company. That is an issue, and I think maybe history will tell us a little bit more on that. But right now, it looks like investors can heave a sigh of relief. The 2018-2019 annual statements can now be released. We're looking forward to 2020. We're looking forward to investors' conference call with the shareholders and investors and analysts by Oando to tell them what the future is now that they've gotten the burden over. A whole lot of money had also been lost, mind you, Temple, because money that were paid for forensic auditors to conduct investigations into Oando by the SEC and all of that, who paid the money and what have you, all of that now has gone down the toilet. And that is how we just waste money here. On the side of the regulator and on the side of the company, we're just come back to the same point where we started, in which is an amicable resolution or settlement, as the case may be. But let's just try and put it behind us, by the way. Moving on to the CEPLA story, well, this is a borrowing paper that will be maturing around 2037, which is an offtake facility, $20 million for CEPLA, and that Westport OIl Limited is a subsidiary of CEPLA Energy, which is listed in Lagos and London. Then you find the Sierra Leone guys coming up with in Sierra Leone, Afrimoney and MFS Africa. I spoke with the managing director, CEO of MFS Africa on television a couple of months ago when they invested some chunk of money in one of the mobile money providers in Cameroon. That's to Nigeria's east coast. Then now they moved to the west coast to Sierra Leone. And I asked him, I remember, where are you going next with your investment? And he says, Bosin, I won't tell you, I don't want my competitors to get there ahead of me. So now I know where he's going. They've landed in Sierra Leone. Vista Bank news came in late yesterday evening because they've now gotten all papers put together to buy the subsidiary of BNP Paribas, which is the big European bank in Guinea, in West Africa as well. Quite a big investment move, quite a big one there for Vista Bank. Vista Bank, it has its footprints across a number of African countries. And I think in 2018, the African Bankers Award, I think it got the Bank of the Year recognition for being one of the best banks on the continent. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Bosin. Thanks a great deal for those analysis there. Let's move to the Southern African markets. South Africa and Mozambique central banks meeting July the 21st and the 22nd. That's tomorrow and next. Woolworths posts 117.9% rise in online food sales in 1 year. Zimra's second quarter gross tax revenue tops $1.3 billion, more than 16% of the targets and, of course, forecasts. Namibia Central Bank monitoring asset quality of banks. Bosin, I'll start with you, getting your thoughts on this Southern African markets headlines first, and come back to Eric with one or two contributions based on his understanding of markets, the general markets.
Temple, I know you know where I'm going to, you can guess where I'm going to start from. It's going to be on the Zimra, which is Zimbabwe's revenue agency. And exactly. As I always say, and I'm going to sound like a broken record, keep your eyes on your neighbors. How did Zimbabwe achieve $1.3 billion in 3 months of revenue, tax revenue? This is out of this world, 1.3 billion US dollars within a quarter. Breaking it down, you're looking at a very hefty millions of dollars. This chunk of money goes to support the FX reserves of Zimbabwe. It goes into capital investment. It goes into paying salaries, which, of course, what Zimbabwe has done, based on the last interview I had with some of the officials or top guys around the economic circuit, is that they're now using tax as a basis for paying salaries of the civil servants and the political office holders, and allowing the revenue that is coming from mining, royalties, and things like that to do capital investment, road, bridges, infrastructure, and a whole lot of things. So I'm happy that somehow the administration of President Mnangagwa seems to be getting some things right. If you take it down the exchange rate, 1.3 billion US dollars, close to 150, 160 billion Zimbabwean dollars, by the way. That is a whole lot of money on the table. If you bring it down to Naira, Temple, we'll be talking in the region of close to 500 billion Naira, if not more. So, or thereabout. So this is a whole lot of things that you can actually get things right. And they did an audit of all the big companies, including the banks and what have you. And within 3 months, they were able to collect this money. So there's no noise making, whatever. They just go ahead and do the job as an agency, and they brought the money in. Kudos to them in Harare.
Thank you very much, Bosun. Thanks a great deal. Eric, I know that East African market is your forte, but would you like to drill down into any of the headlines, whether these ones we have on the tray or anyone that you know of?
I mean, I think the Woolworths one, 117% rise in online food sales. That's pretty interesting. I would say, I would also comment maybe about the central bank's meetings. I think I saw some Bloomberg articles indicated that the next 2 or 3 weeks, a lot of central banks around Africa are going to be releasing their reports or their monetary policy commentary. So I think you'd expect maybe no change in rates or a little bit decrease in some of the rates that we are seeing in the markets. So that's pretty interesting to watch. Maybe I'll check which ones maybe next time I can share specifically which ones are meeting up. But as you can see, South Africa and Mozambique are meeting up on 21st. And then the Woolworths story, coming back to that, is just in alignment to what's a global trend in terms of people shopping more online. But it's pretty interesting that it's online food. But also, generally, it's also interesting that this is happening within Africa also, where people are shopping a little bit more online. So I think that's a good thing to check out. But I'm a little worried about the South African markets, because I checked yesterday, and 84% of the stocks in the JSE were actually down mid-morning. I think maybe because of the repercussions of some of the issues, maybe investors are digesting some of the repercussions from the unrest last week and the week before. So I think that's a pretty interesting market tool. I always think about it that if a market drops, it's also a good time to go shopping. So you fork out your money and then go out and see what are the bargains that are in the markets are underestimating. Like someone once said that in the stock markets, the only place when you hear bargains, people start running away and not to the market. So I think it's a good time to go shopping in Southern Africa. That's what I would say.
I like that.
You're bringing in the market language there.
Yes, Temple, when you look at Woolworths, for example, remember Woolworths, Temple came to Nigeria as a clothing store. But then I think somewhat around 2019, 2020, they tried to rejig the business, and they got into online food sales. And look at what has happened because of the hard lockdown in South Africa. Last year, within a year, the online food business made almost 118%. That's quite good. So look, who wants to buy some pajamas when I'm just sitting down at home? I want to eat first 3 times a day before I change my pajamas. So hold on, bring on the food, man. That's where, look at the Deliveroo guys. Look at them in Nigeria. Look at the Blue Boys in Egypt. They just raised about $10 million last week or so in funding because of the whole thing. So the world has changed and it keeps changing tempo. Let's move with the time. By the way, when you hear bagging, everybody get out of the room.
I should add, I just noticed that Woolworths share price is up 63%. And I was adding I was just checking quickly that the Woolworths share price is up 63% in the past 1 year. So it seems like investors are really liking these moves that it's making. But actually, I didn't know that Woolworths does online food. I was more associating it with clothes and all. So
yes, and the clothes shop in Nigeria, they went back. They went back. I think when they went back to South Africa, they had thought about getting into the online food business, and that's it. At least with online
everybody
food,
is divesting.
You can break into anywhere. So it's just an online food. So it's not like breaking into stores.
Absolutely. Online is the revolution of the moment, actually. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Let's finish up with the Northern African markets. And Fitch Global Credit Rating raised Afreximbank to positive. Moody's affirms stable. Foodico posts 82% profit of 1.4 million Egyptian pounds in the first half of 2021, another food company. Morocco's debt at manageable levels, planning commission says. Al Karama Holdings finalizes sale of auto distributor Alpha Ford. Egyptian exchange closed today, July the 19th, all the way till the 21st, yesterday rather, July the 19th, and all the way to the 21st. CSA, that's the Tunisian Stock Exchange, also closed 20th to 21st, and Marcy that closed as well from 21st to 22nd, that's tomorrow to next. Bosin, we'll hear your thoughts on these headlines and, of course, bring the show to a close.
Now you go back to Foodico, which is another food company, by the way. You see what Eric was talking about. But I'll allow Eric to talk about the food. Exactly. All these guys are coming through. Afreximbank news came in yesterday. Fitch and Global Credit Rating raised Afreximbank from stable to positive, and that's good news. Afreximbank has been up and doing since last year, about 2 years ago, under Benedicto Rama. They've done exceedingly well, and they keep doing well. I say kudos to them. Moody's also affirms Afreximbank are stable. So if we have Fitch and GCR at positive and Moody's are stable, that's as good as it can get. The markets are largely closed across the North Africa today. So today, tomorrow, maybe until Thursday. So Tempo, keep your files closed as far as the North African market is concerned until maybe Friday. Then by Friday, of course, it's another public holiday in Egypt. So it's going to be all the way till Sunday again. So just keep it closed there. Let's see how investors will react with the market. It's going to be like a whole week closure of the markets in most of North Africa. Thank you, Tempo.
They have the Arab money, they have the European and American money, so they can afford to go on holiday as much as they like, actually. Let's hear your final thoughts or final comments, Eric.
I mean, it's just funny. I saw a comment of someone asking whether we can afford to have this many holidays in Africa when we have, we've not developed that much. So it's pretty interesting to ask. We have too many holidays sometimes. But then again, I would say, it's we'll see next week how Egypt is doing. I think it's one of the most well-performing markets across Africa. So pretty interesting to watch. But across, as you can see, the trend a lot is about food, and there's a lot of food online sales and all this kind of stuff. So it's good to see across Africa that theme of online picking up, but also banks doing well. So I think, as you say there, I think Fitch has raised Afrexim's rating to positive. So that's pretty interesting and also nice to see. It's always nice to be here and to see across, to learn also about markets across Africa. Also learn from you guys. So thank you for having me around. Always a pleasure to also come and comment about East African markets.
And we do hope we'll still have you around.
Now you need to send me fufu. You need to send me fufu now.
Okay. I've got to
Thank you very much, Eric Mokaya from London.
I think I'm going to start maybe from Africa Reports will start at online food sales. Everybody's making money.
Send it online also. Send it online.
Okay. I'll let you know what type of vegetable you would like with it, by the way. whether it's going to be vegetable, ewedu,
Please,
okra,
I'm waiting.
I'll give you a list. I'll give you a menu list.
Pick your favorite. Just send me your favorite.
Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for those wonderful analyses and everything this morning. Really appreciated. Eric Mokaya from Wango Capital, Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you so much. Bosun Amofaye, Executive Editor here at Frontier Africa Reports. Thank you for your analysis and insights as well. This has been the show for today. I'm Temple Ashadi. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.